You ever wake up thinking it'll be just another peaceful day, and within 10 seconds, you're suddenly the main character in the craziest suburban war the county's ever seen? That was me, standing in the pink haze of sunrise, coffee still warm in my hand as Karen, yeah, that Karen, climbed on top of my locked ranch gate and screamed, "This land is ours now." Behind her, the entire HOA board advanced in a ragged line, dragging a cardboard sign that read, "Welcome to our future country club," half of them still in pajamas. One guy even had toothpaste foam on his chin like he got up and ran straight out the door without even looking in the mirror. And you know what? The worst part was, these people had spent the whole night out here spray painting sold on every fence post along my 15,000 acres, even though I hadn't sold them a single blade of grass. Now they were blocking the only entrance like this was some hostage standoff, and Karen's out here counting down from 10, demanding I remove my personal belongings because demolition starts immediately. She's got one of her minions trying to trigger some dramatic machine. But the only thing that happens is the trunk of his car pops open. Inside, a giant box of expired muffins, probably their idea of bribery or victory snacks. For a split second, it was so absurd I almost laughed. But then reality slapped me in the face. If these people were this committed to the fantasy that they own my ranch, things could get dangerous fast. So I walk closer, coffee steady, trying to keep my cool, as Karen shouts about how the HOA legally purchased my ranch through something she called a community quiet claim, which, by the way, is not even a real thing, but she kept saying it with TED Talk confidence, and the whole board clapped like she'd just revealed the secret to world peace. She threatened to call her private enforcement squad, which turned out to be 3 teenagers on bicycles wearing neon vests and blowing whistles. Imagine a police escort made up of airport traffic controllers who'd just discovered sugar. Look, I wish I could say it was funny, but when HOA folks get deep in their delusions, things tend to spiral, and not in the good way. I told Karen, calmly, nothing was sold and I had every document to prove it. She barks back that my documents don't matter. The HOAs voted unanimously, and now 7 shaky signatures on a clipboard are their holy grail. I go to unlock my own gate, but 2 of her loyalists jump in front. One slips in the mud, takes the other out like a bowling ball, and Karen starts shrieking about assault, even though I haven't touched anyone. That's when I start filming, because at this point, evidence is everything. Suddenly, everyone straightens up, except for Karen, who leans into her role and announces she's performing a lawful property conversion. And then she finally shows her cards, points to this giant laminated map on her SUV's hood, and it's got my ranch redesigned with condos, tennis courts, a flamingo-shaped golf course, and a giant lake labeled Karen Bay. Right there, I realized this wasn't just some spur-of-the-moment craziness. They had a full plan. I ask who supposedly sold them my ranch. Karen beams, says they bought it from the county for $1. That was all I needed to hear. No county sells deeded private land, let alone 15,000 acres, for $1, and if they gotten paperwork, it was either fake or they got scammed by someone with too much toner. Karen tries to get down from the gate to show me her documents, gets her shoe caught, and ends up dangling like a furious piñata. 2 board members try to rescue her, end up swinging her back and forth. Finally, she lands in a heap of dust, blames me for placing dirt there, as if I control gravity. She dusts off, tells me I have one last chance to vacate before the HOA's formal land transition ceremony, involving a folding table, broken speaker, and a bouquet of plastic flowers. I tell her straight, she's trespassing. Karen yells she's the president of all land in her site and authorized to seize underutilized property, which explains why she's obsessed with my acres. I snap the padlock with my own key, open the gate, and the entire HOA staggers back like ducks on ice. Karen lunges for my sleeve, spins herself in a circle, and lands flat again. Her board gasps like I performed witchcraft. I head for my truck, and that's when I know, if they're this deep, they'll be back, and next time they'll try something even bigger. As I drive down the dirt road, there's a line of orange construction cones, definitely not mine. Behind them, another mini HOA checkpoint. Camping table, clipboards, now laminated for officialness, a guy in a neon vest declaring I'm entering a controlled development zone. He's pointing at a patch of dirt like it's sacred, but it's just where my tractor leaked oil. They demand proof of residency, so I hand over my license just to see how far they'll go. The woman in sunglasses glances, says it's invalid since I haven't registered with the HOA. I drive around their cones. One of them throws a traffic wand, misses, and whacks a fellow board member instead. Meltdown ensues. I spot dust clouds in the west field. Sure enough, for board members out there, using a tape measure meant for apartments to measure ranch land that stretches to the horizon. They're pounding yard sale signs into the ground. Rock Quartz Estates, Hummingbird Meadows, names you'd never use for a patch notorious for rattlesnakes. Another's drawing chalk lines on the dirt, like he's going to conjure a suburb out of thin air. I ask if they know about trespassing. They hand me a pamphlet, "Welcome to the new community era," printed at home, colors all smudged. I warn them, fake documents, stealing land, that's jail time, not just a slap on the wrist. They just say the HOA's undefeatable, and any land in visual range is theirs. I call the sheriff. One of them shrieks that calling law enforcement is against community guidelines. Another starts filming me like I'm a wild animal. Before the deputies get there, they grab their tape measure and retreat like a fire drill. Here comes Karen again. Pulls up in a dust cloud, sun hat the size of a beach umbrella, shoving a cease and desist notice at me in Comic Sans font. She demands I attend an HOA hearing that afternoon. Never mind, I'm not in the HOA, and my property's not even within their boundaries. She fumbles for proof, drops half her fake files, wind scatters them into the cactus. Her team chases papers through the brush. She yells they're classified, but she just tried to show them to me. She makes one last dramatic attempt to assert dominance, trips again, this time into a patch of prickly weeds. Her board rushes to help like disaster medics. Then she vows to escalate, points at me, shaking with villain monologue energy. I just shake my head and head for the truck. But as I drive north, I spot a whole fleet of HOA SUVs, forming a half circle around my old cattle barn, waving ceremonial gardening tools. I climb the ridge, watch as Karen grabs a mic wrapped in glitter tape and declares the HOA is taking possession of all ranch structures. The barn's now the HOA Fitness Center. She's talking goat yoga at sunrise, and the only goat inside is one that escaped my herd and is judging her silently. She tries to swing open the barn doors, tugs too hard, slips. 2 board members almost get flattened. She blames my non-compliant hinges for her own clumsiness. She holds up a Land Dominion Protocol binder, but I see it's just an old scrapbook with glitter stickers. Inside, they've taped signs, treadmill area on a hay bale, no cow access, as if cows read signs. I demand they leave. Karen raises her hand like a courtroom judge and claims any interference is punishable by community sanctions. I remind her this is private land. She says it's now suburban-adjacent acreage because, according to her, they can enforce rules wherever there's suburban energy. I lose the ability to respond. A crash behind the barn. 2 members are assembling a welcome gate, build it upside down. And when they lift it, it collapses onto Karen's SUV, leaving a dent shaped like a horseshoe. Karen blames me for unpredictable gravitational zones. I call the sheriff again. Before they arrive, Karen starts her land dedication ceremony. Music shuffles to cartoon sound effects, killing the mood. She holds up her deed, a Google Maps screenshot with signatures scribbled in the margins. Wind snatches it, sends the board-chasing paper across the field like a slow-motion comedy. I check the barn. They've taped up HOA rule sheets, dumped glitter, and label my feed bins protein storage. Karen blocks my exit, gives me 1 hour to attend an emergency HOA meeting or face administratively catastrophic consequences. But then Deputy Harlan shows up. He surveys the scene, looks at me, at Karen, at the barn, back at Karen, and just sighs. He asks Karen why she thinks the HOA has jurisdiction out here. She starts a dramatic speech. He cuts her off, asks for proof, and she hands over a wrinkled page from a fake legal website. Harlan says she's trespassing. She tries to argue. but he tells her he's issuing citations if they don't leave now. The HOA scatters, except for Karen, who vows to return with reinforcements. But as soon as the sheriff clears them out, I see bright colors along my east fence. The HOA's back, hammering pastel stakes, handing out brochures with luxury home renderings that look nothing like anything you'd build here. Karen, wielding a laser pointer, says she's found a loophole. According to her self-written policy, the HOA controls any property spiritually adjacent to their neighborhood. I'm not making this up. She really said emotional proximity gives them rights. She slaps a pile of supreme legal documents.biz printouts on a folding podium, give a speech about community expansion and the moral failure of big landowners like me. Behind her, board members tangle themselves in a banner and fall over a fire ant mound. She ignores it, declares that they've achieved provisional consent. The HOA all agreed I should have sold, so that counts. Before I can respond, a rumble. My cattle herd arrives. HOA set up their decorations, right in the cow's morning path. First cow steps on a stake, snap. Karen screams the cows are destroying official infrastructure. I tell her cows don't respect HOA rules. As the herd tramples stakes, flattens brochures, and gently nudges board members aside, Karen gets knocked into tall grass by a curious cow. She stands, grass in her hair, and shouts this means full territorial occupation. But before she can escalate, a convoy of county assessors arrives. Karen runs to meet them, thinking they're on her side. They're not. She hands her glitter binder to the assessor, who tells her every document is fake and she's trespassing. Karen doubles down, insists she's mentally integrated my ranch into the HOA. The assessor radios the sheriff. Karen panics, calls for tactical dispersal. Board members scatter, trip over broken stakes, drop flyers in a puddle. Karen rips a banner off her SUV, blinding herself. Their convoy flees, but Karen yells they'll return with documents so powerful even the state will kneel. It didn't stop there. By nightfall, they're back with pop-up tents, lights, and a portable stage. Karen's wearing a sash, reading her grand declaration of territorial integration, with a flashlight under her chin like a kid telling ghost stories. The wind knocks over decorations, cows wander in, trophies shatter, board members run from glow stick-waving cows. Karen gets knocked into a bin of props, stands up sparkling with glitter, screams emergency protocol. Harlan arrives, threatens fines so large the HOA would need weekly bake sales to pay the first page. The board flees. Karen vows she'll be back with stronger documents and a larger coalition. By sunrise, I haven't slept, and here comes Karen, this time leading a convoy of utility vehicles, landscaping trailers, equipment they can't operate. Karen, in a rented skid steer, declares Phase 4 land reclamation enforcement. Hands me customizable land ownership certificates, everyone in glitter pen, all with her name. Board tries to put up plastic fences. Wind whips them away. Chaos erupts. A rented generator won't start. A weed trimmer takes a chunk out of a post. Someone screams about unauthorized structural damage. Then, here it is, the real punchline. Karen, in the bucket of a rented bulldozer, leading an army of contractors and machines labeled Federal Land Reformation Unit. She claims Phase 6 structural correction is underway, flashes a National Department of Structural Continuity badge in gold glitter. But the contractors catch on, refuse to move equipment without real paperwork. Wet concrete spills, board members get stuck, another bulldozer arrives, and the driver asks me if Karen's allowed here. I tell him absolutely not. Everything grinds to a halt. Delaney, the county inspector, shows up and informs Karen she has no authority, can't even govern a garden gnome. She reads out the charges, says one more trespass and it's criminal. Karen vows to appeal to higher powers, but everyone's had enough. As the dust settles, I realize I finally have everything I need. The HOA tried to steal my ranch with fake documents, fantasy rules, and more delusion than I thought possible. But all it took was patience, real evidence, and the law on my side to stop them. And just between us, if they ever try to sell my land again, I'll be ready. With a plan so airtight, even Karen might finally understand what real authority looks like. But let me ask you, where do you draw the line between fantasy and fraud, between a neighborhood's ambition and someone else's rights? Have you ever faced a Karen or an HOA that just wouldn't quit? Drop your wildest story or your take on justice in the comments. I want to hear what you'd do if it were your land on the line. And hey, if you've ever outlasted someone like this, smash that subscribe because trust me, I've got plenty more stories where this came from.